Hello, Daisy Cakes. This is Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And this is a Get Ready With Me, where I get into drag to film a video later today. Good morning, John. Missed last week due to a power cut. Well, that sucks. Well, I'm glad you're back. Lynette is here. And Mooney is here. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for showing up. Can you do a wrench here? I assume so. Hey, Scott Spence is here. Thank you for joining. Question is, as usual, how is your reading going this week? I'm reading a classic sci-fi book, which I haven't announced yet, so I won't say what the title is, but it's from a British author I've never heard of before. And today I'm going to film a video. Well, I was going to do the ugly covers video for back way up in December, but I also want to do I'm going to say a rebuttal, not a rebuttal, an addendum to John Green's video about the history of fantasy. Because I was like, oh, now John Green, I don't watch his reviews very often when he has them because I find myself, I don't really agree with him. We have, like, I guess, different tastes or different uh, ways to look at things. But I do like his fantasy news or his science fiction fantasy news videos. And once in a while, he'll drop another video. So anyway, I was watching the history of fantasy, and he kind of skipped the 70s. You know, he mentioned Shannara paving the way for epic fantasy, and I'm like, wait a minute, you weren't born. You weren't alive in the 70s. I was alive in the 70s, and that's when I was discovering reading. And that was a big moment in fantasy when Shannara came out. And so anyway, I just want to do a video sort of on the importance of the 1970s because he picks up in the 80s. He starts talking about, Dragonlance and Black Company and all these books. And then, of course, the 90s, I think, was his period of coming of age. But yeah, he sort of skips the 70s. Anyway, oh, new faces here. Thank you so much for showing up. MJ Girlman. Started till this. Oh, start. I might not be able to start uni this year. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Mooney. I know Mooney lives in Israel and things are crazy there. So, um, read a book called Carmilla. Hmm. Finished 3 books. Of course, you did, Lynette. A Regency mystery, a book on astrobiology. Hmm. And William about a nasty robot. Nasty robot. Currently reading Catalyst Gate by Megan O'Keefe. Not heard it. The reason why I started until this year, because issues with people in Chari. Well, I'm sure things are going to work out for you eventually, Booty. It's not always on the timeline we want. Reading Dwellers in the Mirage. I know Golden Age science fiction isn't for everyone, but I'm actually into the 50s now. So I've gotten out of the 30s and 40s. And the 50s is when novels, publishers started realizing they can make money on these weird science fiction and fantasy novels. So you actually start seeing novels being written to be published as novels rather than serialized or um, otherwise put in the pulps. So I'm interested in the 50s. 60s is when it really takes off, but the 50s is that transition going from primarily shorter fiction to longer fiction. I start the sequel to the Tainted Cup today. I like the sequel even more than the Tainted Cup, and I love the Tainted Cup. I know they told me this week, and uni is going to start tomorrow. Things are going crazy for you, Mooney. Sorry about that. Love sci-fi from the 50s on. What is your favorite book from that period? From the 50s? I would need to. I don't really memorize books by the time period they're published, but I am reading a lot from the um, my series on the retro Hugos was it's actually over because the Hugos started in what 54, 53, 52. Let me look that up. Anyway, um, the retro Hugos were awarded after um, long after they were published. Like I think they started in the 90s. Yeah, the Hugos started in 53. I said every year except 53. And the retro Hugos, the first one, I guess 1996 was the first one. But they're starting with the golden age, and they're starting the golden age of 1939. That's why I pinpointed, and there's research to back, not research, but there's like Asimov and others back up that it started with Voyage of the Space Beagle, that 1939 issue. So that's when the retro Hugos start, 1939. And I know there's obviously science fiction and fantasy before that, but 1939, and it goes up allegedly to when the Hugos officially started, which is 1953, but they skipped some years. They skipped 1954 and they skipped 1957. So, anyway, oh, my favorite book of the 50s. Just because it's in my mind, I know I really loved Have Spacesuit Will Travel by Robert Heinlein. I thought that was a really fun one of his juvenile science fictions. Okay, let me get started on a look, or else I'll be here forever. Has anyone read before the Golden Age? Yes, of course, because a lot of the ones we're talking about got started. For me, I'm a huge fan of Edgar Rice Burroughs, and then of course there's the classics, Verne and H.G. Wells and Mary Shelley and Bram Stoker. And would you put Poe? He wasn't really speculative, but a lot of people put him with horror. Um, but yeah, if you're interested in the fantasy in the 70s, you might want to take a side trip into Berkeley's adult fantasy line by Lynn Carter. I have read something by Lynn Carter because I remember seeing Lynn Carter in the bookstores a lot. I have this vision of this cover with this woman doing, woman fantasy warrior with this big sun behind her. Going to suggest Earth Abides. It's a good book for the 50s. But I looked it up. It was 49. See, that's it. Knowing the publishing dates, unless you're a booktuber and are doing these history videos, it's hard to tell. Earth Abides is awesome. I don't believe I've read it. I have to look it up. Okay, I need to get started. So I have purple eyebrows, so obviously I wanted to do purple, but I wanted to do the sort of lavender type of purple. So this is the darkest. Okay, I'm gonna go with this. La di da di da. Oh, last week I did go out and to the um, Pride Festival here in Las Vegas, and it wasn't. It was it needs the organizers need to get their act together, but this they did it in the Desert Breeze Park here, and it's the first time they did it here. There's an event area. Hopefully they'll keep it up and improve it. But I think I was the only one in drag besides the performers. Oh, this almost matches my eyebrows. Yeah, since I started with science fiction, I mean, I started really getting into reading in the 70s. Another interesting thing about the 70s was, I guess there actually just weren't that many books. I mean, there were and there weren't, but they would certainly publish like popular classics, or I don't know if you call them classics, but some of the older science fiction works along with the new releases. And that's how I got into Edgar Rice Burroughs, because he was like my favorite writer when I was in middle school and high school. Although I started getting into uh, other science fiction. But anyway, um, I remember getting these Edgar Rice Burroughs books, and they were like had new release covers. They released a whole series of John Carter with these jewel tone covers. I had to get them, and it just never occurred to me when I was reading them that they were published like what 50 years before I was reading them. It just didn't occur to me. They're new covers. They were bright. I love the stories, and I think they did that a lot with reviving some of the classic writers. They didn't tell you it was like published many decades ago. So you'd find classic sci-fi just because um, there wasn't anything else out there. I looked at the first two episodes of the Earth Abides TV. Oh, it's a TV series, but it does not come close to the book. It was enjoyable though. Day of the Triffids is one of my favorite books. Oh yeah, Day of the Triffids, and my favorite Winton books is I've said this many times before. Midwich Cuckoos. Just recently gotten a new miniseries treatment, which wasn't too bad. Still, the best adaptation was I think it's, excuse me, I don't know why they didn't do it in color, but it was because it was the 1960s, but it was Village of the Damned. They did it in black and white. Well, you can barely see that. I was going through my family photos. Oh, that's always fun, Scott. This week I found my first attempt at drag when I was 4 or 5. I'd forgotten about it until now. Falsely remembered starting with Rocky Horror in my early teens. They're doing a drag party for New Year's on the 31st. I love that. Love it. Yeah, I think that there's a picture. I remember seeing it one time in my life, but I have no idea where it would be now. Where I was in drag when I was like 7 years old or something. I had on a wig. I guess it belonged to my mother. well, everything was my mother's, and these big shoes. I mean, nothing fit. Everything was like 10 sizes too big. But, living my best life. I remember going in drag in high school. By the way, my father and stepmother were very, very conservative. Um, and I guess they were away or something because they would never have allowed me to go out and drag. Uh, otherwise. But I thought I looked good. But of course, I have no pictures to commemorate that. Oh, you have to tell us about it, John. How was your dry run at drag? And it's my videos helping it all because you see me get into drag every week. I was a tomboy, so I preferred to dress like a boy. Was never interested in makeup. You mean without alcohol? It's got yeah. I have several cousins that were tomboys, but God bless true trans people that do it all the time because it's makeup can be a project, especially if you um, are me. It's a little red. Rose loves it. Whiskey Scott. Rose is doing Captain Jack. Oh God, you two are going to be such a cute couple. Okay, and Captain Jack is doing everybody. Haha. I don't think I've been to a party for about 12 years. Like, oh, I'm sorry, Lynette. Actually, I haven't been to a party like that in a long time myself. I wish I lived in Hawaii, then I'd go to John's party. But what we're probably going to do, my husband and I, is go to the club, the gay club called Piranha here in Las Vegas, and um, probably we'll both get into drag, and it's just something to do every year. Back in San Francisco in the day, we used to throw the Halloween parties where everyone was obviously in costume. may not see much of my eyeliner, but that's because it's just sort of an outline of where I want to. Oh, these are way off. Okay. But as much as I bitch when I don't have things symmetrical, no one really notices. Not sure I can jump the fire in heels or the dress. Ooh, that sounds dangerous if you're wearing a dress and jumping over fire. I went to a Stepford Wives at Castro Halloween once. I'll die if I don't get that recipe. I love that. Love it. Many people now have inflatable costumes to wear on Halloween. I gather those things have been flying off the shelves in the last few weeks. I've seen that for a while. Those inflatable ones. If you go down to Fremont Street here in Vegas, there's these like huge gorillas and dancing around. Dinosaurs used to be popular. Bring the wrong kind of ice to the party. So that Stepford Wives party in the Castro, Scott, sounds amazing. Because we used to live near the Castro. I used to live on Church Street and Market. And I remember one time we had a party, and of course, Dennis and I were in drag, and we got a knock on the door, And when you invite people, you say, "Oh, bring your friends, whatever." So we opened the door, and it was like really early, and we are still getting into drag, and they're like, "Oh, we want to get in drag early too." So we invited these people in. We're all getting ready, and I was like, "What's your name?" And I had no idea who these people were. They were meant for the party upstairs. They weren't even meant for our party. Goodness. But of course, we had to get pictures of everyone. Okay. Oh, Paige de Divisadero. You're right in the middle of the Castro. And I went to La Haina at Film Noir Femme Fatale one year. Oh, that sounds like fun. I want pictures, John. Now, I kind of want to do a white cut crease, but let's see. Actually, I have this lavender one. This is from the Wilma Fingerdew collection. We'll do that. My first place in San Francisco, well, when we first moved to San Francisco, 1989, it was just me and some friends from Maryland. And we were living in residency hotels in on O'Farrell Street, which, at least especially in 1989, was not the greatest area in San Francisco. You'd fall asleep to the sound of prostitutes outside, that type of place. But then our first apartment was on Haight Street, which was fun. But that's why I like Tales from the City so much, because you could like recognize the bars and things he was talking about, which are not there anymore. I'm going to go in fast with this dust, because here in Vegas it's so dry. These things dry out fast. There we go. Perfect. Did you have a drag mother to teach you makeup skills? Yes, her name is Miss YouTube. I pretty much taught myself on YouTube. Because, I mean, back in the day when we are doing drag, and was not like a drag performer or anything, we would just be like the Halloween drag queens. Although I did go out in the 80s when I lived in DC. But yeah, there was no one told you what to do. You kind of had to figure it out for yourself, unless you had a drag mother. But I wasn't. Kind of think if I would have taken some other path, I could have been a drag queen for real. Rather, I'm a YouTube drag queen. My sister once walked down the street as a Jerry King, ran into her son who didn't recognize her. Wondered why a strange man was talking to him. That's hilarious. I met one of my mates at Lahaina. He did not recognize me until I spoke, took a step back, and I fell, I fell over a low wall. Did you ever eat at Soups down in that neck of tenderloin? I don't recall. I don't think so. Soups. Talking about the soup kitchen? When I used to get scam calls, like would identify myself as Michael Tolliver at 29 Barberry Line. I love that. Had a whole bunch of fake social security numbers and credit card numbers. Rose helps me with my makeup. Rose is John's partner, our wife. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I had my picture taken a couple times at the drag festival, but it wasn't like the Star Trek festival when everyone wanted my picture. Sips was a four-seat counter restaurant that just served four soups on Golden Gate. No, I don't think I've ever been there. Okay. San Francisco has changed. Do you still live there, Scott? Um, for me, it's changed just so much. It's almost unrecognizable. And I know that um, the old Tenderloin and Polk Street was kind of, I would never call it danger. I never felt like I was in danger, but I used to run around DC too. But um, but it was definitely kind of the low rent district um, in downtown, and it was kind of dirty and lots of sex work going on, and I kind of miss it. I know they've cleaned up the Polk Street quite a bit. It's like yuppified now, but there's no real section for people with um, not much money, sort of hang out and be, I don't know, artistic types, whatever. Okay. I'm in downtown San Jose. Besides Paige, I used to share an apartment with a pro dom on Geary, across from Edinburgh Castle. Cool. He had shooting pains down his arm, but they didn't do anything wrong. I think it might have been related to his CP. What? What are we talking about? Oh dear. Oh, I skipped this. I'm so sorry. Spent 7 hours in the air with my son early Tuesday morning. Oh, I'm so sorry. Pain down his arms, because that you immediately think of heart attack. Bob's Donuts is still on Polk. Oh my God, I remember that donut store. Yeah, everything used to be open really late. There was a drag bar called Chemo's on Polk Street that when we lived on O'Farrell in the Residency Hotel, we would go there all the time. And there's an Asian bar called N Touch, which doesn't exist anymore. And by Asian, I just mean like a gay dance club that I don't know how it ended up that way, because I don't know if the owner was Asian or not, but predominantly Asians and their admirers, I guess you could say, but it was mostly Asians. And there used to be a strip club on Polk Street too. But yeah, you go there now and it's very feels very yuppified. Nothing like it used to be. Sort of the wild place I remember. Hmm. Copy of Edinburgh Castle. In the UK, it is prepaid by national insurance. The bar. Okay. But I think I've mentioned that I work a swing shift. So I get off work like around 11. And back in the 90s, late 90s, I would work in the financial district downtown. So it's a wrong brush for this. But at 11 o'clock when I got off work, I would go to this place called The Stud, which had this drag show called Tranny Shack, which I know is not a term that's used now. But it had the best sort of drag performances. And it was run by the drag queen Heclina, who unfortunately just passed away recently. Really weird, just dropped dead in a hotel in England, in London. But yeah, they would prepare a whole skit. A whole new skit for every Thursday night. And one was they did like the skit on the dating game where they had like drag queen contestants and a guy who was, asking him questions. And the guy asking him questions looked like this little nebbish little bookkeeper. Um, but the voice was familiar. And you would look, and it was Heclina out of drag. Didn't look at all like she looked while in drag. Okay, well, I think I'm coming close to finishing the eyes. Edinburgh. Oh, my friends Jackie Jules and Shelley Summers used to run drag shows at Market in Valencia. I can't remember the name. Sorry about Heclina. Yeah, that was weird. I think her partner in crime, Peaches Christ, I think she maintains that they're, how should I say it? That they didn't investigate her death as much as she thought it should have been. Whether that means if there's any hanky panky going on or whatever. Okay. I think for the under eyes, I want to brush out. Okay, sorry we're talking about drag so much. Scott, you put me on this. We usually talk about books. Okie dokie. Yeah, like I said, I'm filming a video today in response, kind of bringing it back to Daniel Green, a response to his, it's not even a response, an addendum to just sort of fill in the 1970s uh, fantasy impact. I have a set of Harper Hall trilogies to the tween children. Oh, I gave a set of Harper Hall trilogy to the tween children of a friend. They loved it. Great. Because that's, we're talking about Anne McCaffrey, right? Harper Hall trilogy. Um, Things are so different reading wise because back in my day, there was no young adult. You went from children's literature, and at some point, either late middle school or early high school, you switch to adult if you're a reader. And part of that is that for some reason, the publishing world doesn't believe that uh, teenagers want to read anything except with a teenage protagonist. In middle school, too, or middle grade. But maybe I was just a freak because I liked reading about the adult characters. The science fiction and fantasy books I read. Oh, Bougie Feral, thank you for joining. Loved your piece on Leap Bracket. Thank you so much. I asked ChatGPT to give me my prompts for nonfiction November, seeing that it isn't being held on YouTube this year. It gave me Origins. Oh, let me share the screen. Hold on, because you guys probably don't read Publishers Weekly because it. I mean, you could, but they just released the best books. How do I share a screen? Okay. Um, I haven't really gone through this that much, but I know they have. The categories are up here. But it's their top 10. Well, let's look at the top 10 books. Audition by Katie Kitamura. Don't know. Yeah. Stephen Graham Jones. See, I read The Only Good Indians. I didn't like it. It wasn't for me, but this Buffalo Hunter is apparently really good. Now, this looks like a nonfiction. Capitalism and its critics, a history from the Industrial Revolution to AI. And it doesn't really say if it's nonfiction. I mean, I can't believe it's not nonfiction, but that sounds kind of interesting. The gayest love story ever told. And there's a provocative image of a naked man. Um, story, the account of his and his sons. Okay, this is a memoir. Does the memoirs count as nonfiction? Uh, History of gay marriage, combining steamy sex, thoughtful social critique, and dogged reporting. That sounds interesting, but I don't really like romance books, but this is a memoir, I'm assuming. On the calculation, Selvage Valley, translated from the Danish, raises the stakes, explores new possibilities in her series about a woman trapped in a time loop who now finds others also stuck reliving in the same day. Never heard of this. The third of 7 installments. Oh, that sounds a little rough. That sounds very literary. This sounds very experimental. 7 books about this woman living in a time loop. Interesting. Searches, selfhood in the digital age. Vera's most inventive work yet. Humanity's relationship with technology. Collaborating with and critiquing. What? Collaborating with artificial intelligence and critiquing. I'm curious about that. She draws attention to the gap between the richness of reality and technology's superficial approximation. Sisters, work of autofiction. What? I'm not sure what that means. Oh, Bruce Lee and the Making of Asian America. That sounds interesting. Using more than a biography. So it's using the biography of Bruce Lee as sort of outlining the Asian American experience. I'm sure through the, what's his era? 50s, 60s, 70s. When it all burns. Fighting fire in a transformed world. Is this a nonfiction? He's an anthropologist and firefighter, delivers a rare close up look at the perilous front lines of the climate crisis, recounting his stint with an elite wildland firefighting crew in California. Okay, so it's a memoir. So if you count memoirs as nonfiction, Your Name Here, a vital metafictional narrative, chaotic project to write a commercially viable book, but will also disrupt the staid literary marketplace. Oh, here's nonfiction. Oh, there's a lot here. Anyway, if you want to look up this for ideas, might be better than ChatGPT. Oh, Baldwin, a love story. And real quick, let's just look at. They don't separate science fiction, fantasy, and horror out. And look, there's only 7 books. Death of the Author. I recognize these. I almost picked Death to the Author for Shove It or Shove It, but someone read it and said they weren't that impressed by it, that I know. Emily Tesh. I like The Sheep. Notes for Regicide. Elegant queer sci-fi novel. Old Crop. Yeah, this is with an ugly cover I skipped. And this horror. Best-selling YA author White. Adult debut. Autistic trans man. Crane believes he's found acceptance among a cult that worships an alien hive mind. Yeah, that never goes wrong. Okay, anyway. Ooh, Forever War. Yeah. That's one of the sci-fi classics by Joe Haldeman. Okay, so I think I'm done with the eyes. I'm, of course, going to do a purple lip. Actually, I might. No, I'm just going to leave it. I was going to put white here. No, I'm just going to leave it. Yeah, Publishers Weekly is mostly for writers and publishers or people in the industry more than um, your average reader. But I'm not a member. I just use their free newsletter. But if you're interested in articles about publishing news, it reminds me of Kirkus. If you've heard of the Kirkus reviews, because it's considered really prestigious and important in the publishing world, but I don't think most readers really even have heard of it, or if they have, they don't really care that much. They got they only gets like 1 star, either 1 star or no stars. I don't think the general reading public really care what Kirkus says. Um, but the people that do care are librarians, which is a big thing if you want to see your book in a library. Let's hold them in. Um, no, Locus is a sort of a science fiction review mag. Once in a great while, I'll notice they have a these. If you Google them, Google them. If you search for them on YouTube, um, I think they have like these videos for new releases. Once in a while, I may look at it, but yeah. And they have and if you do subscribe to their magazine, I think you can like vote in their award thing. Yeah, I bet you did read it, Lynette, because I know you're a big sci-fi fan, and that was like one of the big ones in the 70s, 80s, 70s, 70s. Excuse me. This is really dark purple. Okay, let's see if I can. Yeah, Robert Heinlein said the Forever War was the best uh, science fiction treatment of war that he's ever read. Which surprises some people because um, sometimes they look at Heinlein as sort of pro-military, and I think he was a little bit, but the Forever War definitely wasn't pro-military. I need to put something on these lips. There we go. I don't know if the mic is picking it up, but if you hear any laughing in the background, that's my husband is a hairdresser and he does people's hair downstairs. He and his client are laughing about something. Okay. Okay, I think we're done. If I could bring one magazine back, it would be Omni. I remember getting that one. Yeah. Omni's fiction editor, Ellen Datlow, was the goat. No argument here, Scott. Datlow's anthology, Alien Sex, is amazing. That it's ringing some sort of bell. Alien Sex. I'm not sure. I never read it, but the title is ringing a bell. Not sure what happened to my copy of Omni. Maybe got rid of them when I moved. I say when you loved. Okay. Let's put on the eyelashes. I can find the glue. Oh shoot, what did I do with the found it. Yeah, it was so interesting that Omni sort of had sort of the pop science of the day or of the month, and then they would have like one or two fiction stories. I think the one that followed it up with Wired. I was actually in Wired in the mid 90s, but Wired never had fiction, did it? I was part of a group that was that they were doing how to describe it, virtual reality. They were the designers of it's called VRML, VRML, virtual reality modeling language that I don't think really took off like they thought it would. But there was an article in Wired about virtual pagans, and I was like part of their little group. Try to find I wouldn't mind finding a picture of that because they took our picture anyway. I mean, the journalist wasn't very good because he did a quote for me. And I don't know if he asked my name, ever asked my name, or asked anything about me, but he didn't know my name, and he just called me a sysop, which I wasn't. This thing, they just make things up. They can't figure it out. But yeah, I should find out what issue was their Techno Pagan magazine and try to track down a copy. Oh, come on. Okay. I had to sell my. Oh, I never thought of actually selling magazines. Huh. I guess so. Bookstore would take it. Anyone here remember a magazine called Aboriginal Science Fiction? I do not. Is that Australian? I used to love New Scientist, but I haven't bought that in years. The font is a little small. Well, I'm sure all magazines now come out in. Oh, I know. I'm sure all magazines that are left come out in digital form, so you can adjust the font size. Oh, you can't see it, but it's this glitter gel. Never heard of that. Don't like reading magazines online. Yeah, you need a tablet. It's for like I think tablet readers that makes it shine. But yeah, it's different reading on a computer. Aboriginal was published in the States. I used to get it at Tower Books before I subscribed. It was more social science based science fiction. Interesting. Oh, been downloading PDFs of the pulps. Oh, I like that because they often have like really interesting illustrations that you don't get just reading them online or in an anthology. Okay, guys, I think this is it. Add some jewelry. My daisy earrings. And the wig I grabbed, it's this one. It's not my favorite wig, but I need to wear it once in a while. Yeah, I thought Friston would have like, he's a wig designer that does these. I thought he would have like a Halloween wigs because he usually does this time of year, but he didn't do them. And let me zoom out. Some gloves. Sure shows the drag evolution timeline of your look. I had one, I don't know when I did it, but I had one where I took all my looks through I don't know if I did every month, but I sort of did like a morphed him from one face to another. I haven't done that. Maybe I'll do that this year. Maybe that will be New Year's. That it picks about alien life of the planets in our solar system. Other than Earth? Okay. Is that from like fiction? Thank you, John. Wow. Looking fantastic. Thank you, Lynette. The nice wig. Thank you. Brilliant look. Thank you. And I have to show you this ring I got. This is like Temu or something, but it's a. I wish it had like a adjustable band, but I could sort of squeeze it on my finger. And it was really cheap, so I should get more of these. And let's put a more conventional ring on this hand. Okay, guys, I will not be here for 2 weeks. Next Saturday is my husband's birthday, and we're going out. And on the 8th, my friend Sean and his husband's coming to stay with us for the weekend. So I won't be available. So there's going to be no videos until November 15th. And I'll put a reminder up on my comments. So just to let you know, no video until, or no get ready with me until November 15th. But I will be releasing videos during those weeks. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here. And until we meet again, may all the books you read be blessed.